Hey everyone! Welcome to my 5th annual Advent shawl project. Welcome to Mellowdy. This year's technique, and before we start, excuse me for my indie dye hands. I was hoping to record this on a non-dyeing day, or at least on a day in which my hands would be clean, but that didn't work out. Ever so sorry. This year's technique will be in tarsia. And I made a little swatch chart for you. And in the end, this is the swatch. So you can see we have some pearl stitches here. Some lace work here, and here is one tiny cable, and the semi-solid yarn will be used to make all the pattern stitches, and the variegated yarn, if you would like to use a variegated yarn, will be used for the stockinette blocks in this shawl. This swatch is 26 stitches wide and 26 rows high. In the final pattern that we are going to knit from December 1st until December 24th, you will start with 56 stitches and 10 needles of knit 1, purl 1, and you will end with 10 needles of knit 1, purl 1 as well, but then it will be in the semi-solid yarn or solid. But for this swatch, I just wanted to have 26 rounds and explain some stitches. So this is a lot smaller and less wide than the actual shawl. I started out by casting on 26 stitches in my semi-solid color. This is my Ecruise Me, and as a contrast I will use vuur en bos, which means fire and forest. Yes. So, as you can see on the chart, there will be a flowing line all across the shawl. We will be using different stitches whenever we have changed colors, and I will explain each stitch in this project. So first of all, I am going to knit stitches up until stitch 19. And now I'm going to introduce my variegated color. I'm just going to drop the semi-solid yarn and knit the rest of the stitches with my variegated color. The first 3 and the last 3 stitches will always be knit, with the exception of the 3 stitches at the end of your needle after you are prepping for a color change. Because if we were to knit these 3 stitches as well in round 8, there will be showing, the purl bumps will be showing on the right side. So whenever you have switched colors, then you will omit the knit 3 at the end. It's easiest if you put both your working yarns to the top of your needle. And then I will show the color change on the wrong side. So I knit 3, I purl 4, And now it's time to drop my variegated yarn and pick up my solid yarn. And I'm going to pick it up from under the variegated and bring it up so that I can continue purling the rest of the needle, with the exception of the last 3 stitches, of course. If you are afraid that you are going to forget that the last 3 stitches and the first 3 stitches are always knit, just put a stitch marker in between the body of your shawl and the border stitches. Needle 3 knit stitches, and then a little pattern with purl stitches. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I feel like count. 1, 2, 3. And now you have 2 knit stitches. On position 17, there's a knit 2 together and then 1 more knit. Now I'm going to drop my solid yarn and grab my variegated yarn from under my solid yarn. I'm going to knit 1. And now we are going to do an increase that the very talented and wonderful Elizabeth Zimmerman came up with. It's a nearly invisible increase. With the tip of your right needle, you go in the stitch under the next stitch on your needle. So this is the next stitch on my needle, and here is the stitch under that stitch. You are going to go in with your right needle tip from the back to the front, pull it up on your left needle and knit it. So one more time. This is the stitch on your needle. Here is the stitch that is under that stitch. You go with your right needle tip from the back to the front. You pull it up on your left needle and you knit it. And then you finish the rest of your needle. I will come back with you once I have reached that point again to explain it one more time. Just to be sure the color change once more. So I'm going to drop my variegated yarn and I'm going to pull up my solid yarn and make sure that my yarns cross. Oh, and by the way, I did not tell you that I have a new camera. And I have a new light and a microphone. So I hope that that this is an improvement for you. Okay, so I'm 3 stitches before the color change. So I'm going to knit 2 together, knit 1, drop my solid yarn and grab my variegated yarn from under there, knit 1, and now we have the Elizabeth Zimmerman increase again. Here is the stitch on my needle, here is the stitch below. I'm going to go in from the back to the front with my right hand needle tip, pull it onto my left hand needle and knit it. And then I'm going to knit to the end of the needle. And now I'm going to knit round 8. We are going to shorten this video a little bit. So I'm going to knit all the way, well, I'm going to knit 3 and then I'm going to purl all the way to the end of the needle. And I will get back to you when I'm knitting round 9. I'm also purling the last 3 stitches of this needle. But I'm going to knit to the color change to explain what is happening there. First, we are going to knit 2 together. And now we are going to use the jogless striping technique. So this is the stitch on my needle, this is the stitch below, and I'm going to pull it on my needle from back to front. Just pull it up there and knit both loops together. There's nothing more to it. So one more time. I'm going to pull the semi-solid loop from the stitch below, pull it on my needle and knit those 2 loops together. Now I'm going to drop my variegated yarn, pick up my semi-solid yarn and knit 1. Now there is a make 1, and to keep it easy enough for the beginning knitter, I did not bother to put in a make 1 left or a make 1 right. But if you are an experienced knitter, you know of course how to handle. I'm going to pull up the strand between the 2 stitches, put it on my left needle from back to front and knit it through the front loop. So this is a right leaning increase, this will be used throughout the shawl, but if you want to use the left leaning and right leaning increase wherever it applies, please, you do you. I will get back to you at the color change on row 11 to show it once more. So I have 3 stitches left before the color change. So I'm going to knit 2 together, knit 1, drop my variegated yarn and pick up my semi-solid from under there to have them cross. And now I'm going to knit 1, and there's the Elizabeth Zimmerman increase again. So I'm going to pick up the loop from the stitch under the stitch on my needle, pull it on my left hand needle and knit it. And in this round there is a little lace. Again, I am not really on the place where the lace should be, but it's just to explain the stitches. You knit 2 stitches together and then you scoop up your working yarn to make a yarn over. I will show that once more. So you knit 2 stitches together and then you scoop up your working yarn to make a yarn over. And to make up for the decrease that you did by knitting 2 stitches together. On your way back, you just purl the yarn over when you come to it. Here's my yarn over. If you are not a very experienced knitter, you might think, oops, I did something wrong there. Let's just drop it and forget about it. But we are not going to do that, of course, because it is definitely a stitch that is in your pattern. So you're just going to purl it. Here's the color change just once more. I'm going to drop my working yarn, the solid, pick up the variegated from under there, and then I will purl to the end of the needle. I am going to do a right side row and a wrong side row, and on the wrong side row I will knit all the way to the end with my solid yarn so that I can explain the stitches mentioned in round 21. So I am at the color change in row 21, and there it says on position 9, make 1. I'm going to do the exact same one as earlier. I'm going to pick up the strand, put it from back to front on my left hand needle and knit it through the front loop. Then I knit 1. And then we are going to make a joggler stripe again. So here's the stitch on my needle. I'm going to pick up the variegated loop from under there, put it on my needle and knit those two together. Now it's time for the color change. So I'm going to cross my variegated yarn. I'm going to knit 1. And now I'm going to do a slip knit. I know there are many different ways to do this, and you do you, pick the one that's your favorite. I'm going to slip 1 as if to knit, put it back on the left hand needle and knit the 2 stitches together through the back loop. So once more, I'm going to pick up the stitch as if to knit from the left hand needle, take it off, put it on backwards and knit those 2 stitches together. If you are at any point in this shawl, in this project, not sure whether you can do a certain pattern or you have tried several times and it just didn't work out for you, just omit the pattern and just knit a stockinette piece in your semi-solid yarn. Don't stress out over it. This shawl is called Mellowdy for a reason, right? And it's always a smart thing to put a lifeline in after every day. Then you just take a tapestry needle and some scrap yarn, preferably smooth scrap yarn, and you just put it through all the stitches on your needle. That way, whenever you need to go back, you can just frog back to your lifeline and all your stitches will be ready to be picked up and mounted in the correct way, and then you can try again. And like I said, if you don't like a certain pattern or if you just don't get it, don't stress out. Omit the pattern and just knit an extra block of stockinette. There's one more stitch to go. We are going to knit 4 on row 23. And now we are going to make a twist to the right. I'm going to put my right hand needle in the next 2 stitches on the loop. I knit them, but I don't take them off. and then I'm going to knit the first stitch once more, and then I take them off. Let's do that once more. One more time. I'm going to go into the next 2 stitches, knit them together. Don't take them off the needle, but you pivot around to be ready to knit the first stitch once more. And now you have twisted the stitches. The left stitch is crossing in the front, and you have made a right twist. For this swatch, I ended with a ribbing again. I think I said that in the beginning as well. In your Mellowdy shawl, you will start and end with a semi-solid ribbing. But this was just how the swatch happened. I wish you happy knitting. Thank you for joining. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss anything. And I can't wait for Advent to start, and so that we can finally start our Mellowdy shawl. Thank you. Bye bye.